Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Set to go down on the undercard of Amanda Serrano versus Lucretia Monzor, Friday, August 21st, at the Pachanga Resort and Casino in Temecula, California, a battle of the unbeatens.
Unbeaten Iana Verduzco will take on unbeaten up-and-comer from the Dominican Republic, Miguelina Hernandez, in a featherweight bout.
Live on TikTok. And what you need to know about these fighters, Iana Verduzco, 24 years old, otherwise known as Right Hook Roxy, will be taking on Miguelina, who is 28, in a contest scheduled for 8 rounds in the women's featherweight division. Iana Verduzco sports an unblemished record of 7 wins with no losses and no draws, 1 recorded knockout. I don't know why BoxRec has her registered as an orthodox fighter. Iana is a southpaw, hence the nickname Right Hook Roxy. To her opponent, Miguelina Hernandez, who sports an unblemished record of 4 wins with no losses and no draws, 3 recorded knockouts. She doesn't have as many fights as Iana does, but she does have more knockouts, and that is indicative of something. This fighter is no ordinary fighter.
She debuted as a professional in August of the previous year, fought 3 times last year, and she's already fought once this one back in May. This upcoming fight with Iana will be her 2nd fight of this year.
Where Iana Verduzco was last in action in November of the previous year, where she fought approximately 5 times. Once in January, again in April, again in June, October, then finally in November. This upcoming fight with Miguelina will be her first fight of this year and her MVP debut. And I have to say that for what will be her first fight under the promotional banner, I would not have chosen Miguelina as her first opponent. No, sir. This is not an ordinary fight.
Not an ordinary fighter.
I've had a look at Miguelina, and from what I can tell, this is a fight that Right Hook Roxy could lose. Wouldn't be the first time that an unbeaten up-and-comer lost in their MVP debut. Remember that Naomi Valle,
the younger sister of Yokasta Valle,
she suffered her first professional loss in what was her MVP debut, and I see something similar could happen to Roxy opposite the ring Miguelina, who reminds me a lot of her Dominican compatriot Oxandia Castillo, another hard-punching Dominican who knocked out Hannah Gabriels in just 2 rounds.
though her style is a lot more polished than Oxandia's was. 200 amateur fights might have something to do with that. As stated, this is no ordinary fighter. This is a standout amateur that happens to be managed by Carlos Adames, also of the Dominican Republic.
Might be familiar with that name. The best way to describe Miguelina is as an athletic boxer-puncher who can fight moving forwards, fight going backwards. Best punches happen to be her straight punches, but her hooks ain't too shabby either.
She also happens to do a bit of switch hitting. She can fight out of either stance.
So as stated, this is not someone I would have chosen for Iana Verduzco's MVP debut. It's a little bit senseless to put her in a fight like this at just 7-0.
This is not a bring-along fight, a developmental fight. This has all the makings of a fight, and I wouldn't be putting Iana at her young age in this kind of fight. For what? It's callous, it's cavalier, and I'm afraid that she could lose.
Somebody at MVP must have made a mistake. The matchmakers or something. It's not like this is for a belt. Why take on a risk this early with a fighter so young when you've got all the time in the world?
It's a senseless risk.
But that is the look of it. Next month on the undercard of Serrano versus Monzor, Iana Verduzco is going to be in there with a live one, and I'm not sure that she's going to win. We'll just have to wait and see.
It's your favorite time of the week again. Time for the only segment in boxing that gives you the facts and makes you laugh. It's Clapback Thursday. So I saw the Odyssey the other day.
Great movie.
It was about the Greeks and how they invaded the city of Troy. By disguising themselves inside a Trojan horse, they tricked their enemies to get inside their gates. And the rest is history, man. Today, Zuffa Boxing is the Trojan horse. They are overpaying a few boxers to make it seem like this big money will continue. But it won't.
The money faucet just keeps a-flowing.
Once they monopolize the sport, like they want to,
Because they're a sneaky bunch of fucks.
Zuffa will pay fighters peanuts. Exactly like the UFC. It's the same model.
It's not right. It's not right.
They want to change the Muhammad Ali Act so they can operate as their own league with their own rules, their own rankings, their own unicorn belt. They're luring in the biggest names for fight-by-fight deals. No long contracts.
Some people might call that a good thing, that you don't have to make a long-term commitment to Zuffa to do business with them, so that if you don't like how things are going, you can leave in the short term.
That's why you see Shakur and Conor signing a 1 or 2 fight deal. Never a long-term deal. But again, this is the Trojan horse.
This is how they work you.
They are overpaying the household names in order to look pretty and gain credibility. So more up-and-coming fighters will sign with them. And mark my words, once they get you to sign, they're gonna scale all payment back, just like they have with the UFC.
On that much, I have to agree with Oscar, because I've been saying it myself on repeat. What they spent to get Conor Benn over there, and what they're now spending to get Shakur, that can't last. I give it a year and a half.
But if the contracts are only short-term contracts, not long multi-fight, multi-year contracts like you see with some other fighters, wouldn't that be a good thing? That fighters like Conor and fighters like Shakur aren't nailed to the ground.
To the floor.
Some fighters actually prefer fight-by-fight deals.
That's the goal.
It's not right. It's not right.
Look, the problem is the younger generation feels this kind of money will be available to them at Zuffa Boxing, but the truth is that they'll be tricked into a very shitty contract where they must fight for only the unicorn belt, the Zuffa belt.
What the fuck is that?
And the ring belt, which lost all its credibility.
Now who's a fraud?
It's now a joke. Here's an example of how they're already making up their own rules. Ring Magazine rules state that if you fail to schedule a fight in 2 years against a top 5 contender, you will be stripped. That means Jai Opetaia should have been stripped in May because he chose to fight a cab driver in Zuffa's basement instead of a top 5 contender.
That's not exactly accurate, Oscar. He only fought Brendan Glanton because of what other fighters didn't want to fight him, like your fighter, Zurdo Ramirez,
Who chose to fight David Benavidez instead of unifying titles with Jai Opetaia.
You make it seem like he didn't want to fight better fighters, like he didn't want to unify titles, when the truth is, the champions don't want to unify with him. Now what you're advocating for is that Ring Magazine should strip him for that. Castigate him for the fighters who don't want to fight.
You gotta take everything Oscar De La Hoya says with a pinch of salt.
The Ring Magazine didn't strip him. Why?
Because they're complicit.
Because Zuffa makes up their own rules. Even the IBF stripped Jai Opetaia of their belt because they don't recognize the Zuffa unicorn belt that they keep trying to push down fighters' throats. And poor Jai Opetaia, I feel so bad for him because Zuffa has him suing the IBF on their behalf. He's literally fighting the legal fight for Zuffa. It's truly disgusting. Look, once they have their monopoly, nobody will get paid anymore. They need all of you to be hooked in by this ridiculous overspending you're seeing right now. But that cannot be sustained. Just like Live Golf. So don't be the city of Troy, guys. Don't sell out. And don't open your fucking doors. The writing is on the wall.
Some of what Oscar De La Hoya said was true. Other parts of it are just spin, self-serving spin. While it is true that the spending you're seeing now at Zuffa cannot sustain, it cannot last.
But if the contracts they're giving fighters like Conor and Shakur are short-term deals, by the time they start scaling back those efforts, you can walk away, you can go somewhere else, do business with someone else. So that would be a good thing, wouldn't it?
All of a sudden, Oscar De La Hoya feels that Ring Magazine has lost all credibility. But you're the one that sold it, Oscar. You can't stand on ceremony now.
Spouting this sanctimonious claptrap about what Ring Magazine has become when, whatever it's become, it's a direct result of you selling it.
Who owned it before Turkey LL Sheik? You did. And who sold it to him?
You did.
Then you want to start going in on Jai Opetaia, who all of a sudden you care about so much, but at the time that his Matchroom deal was ended, over, and he was a free agent, nobody, not you, not Eddie, not Frank, not the PBC, not Top Rank, offered that guy a deal, so that when Zuffa does, you want to castigate him for accepting it?
That's fucking bullshit.
None of you were in a rush to sign an unbeaten Ring Magazine IBF champion, so that when Zuffa signs him, when they offer him something, you want to castigate him for that.
What kind of promoter are you, Oscar? Seriously. You had your own cruiserweight champion in Zurdo Ramirez. You could have picked up another one in Jai Opetaia, then set up a fight between them.
But you didn't offer him anything, did you, Oscar?
Because it was never your intention to make that fight between Jai and your fighter. You say that he should have been stripped a long time ago for not fighting a top 5 guy, but he was trying to fight your guy, and you weren't trying to make it.
You made a fight with somebody else, a smaller fighter, moving up in weight, and you think that Jai Opetaia should be the one punished for that. That's why you have to take everything Oscar De La Hoya says with a pinch of salt. Some of it is true, some of it is false.
A lot of it is spin.
We know that he's had an axe to grind with Dana White for some years now, and that's a big part of the reason he's always having a go at Zuffa. But the other part of it is, Zuffa is making his job harder. They have a lot more to offer fighters right now than Golden Boy does. When's the last time that Golden Boy made a major signing, a major acquisition?
Ryan Garcia, who is still their biggest name and flagship fighter, says he's only got one fight left on his deal and he is very close to leaving. If he does, who fills the void?
Nobody ever really filled the void for Canelo Alvarez when he left Golden Boy Promotions. If Ryan leaves, I think they'll be in a bad way. For all of the promotional outfits now having a go at Zuffa Boxing, Oscar De La Hoya, Eddie Hearn, it is because they're threatened.
They wouldn't be having a go at them as often as they do if they weren't worried about Zuffa, and they should be.
Does that make Zuffa the bad guys in the story? No, not necessarily. Zuffa put together the fight between Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn at no additional expense to me and you. We get to watch it as part of our Paramount Plus subscription. I would call that a good thing.
No pay-per-view.
Especially on a weekend like this one, where DAZN is expecting you to kick out $140 fucking for 2 pay-per-views on the same day. What do they think? We're made of money?
I would not call Zuffa Boxing the bad guys just because they're making Oscar and Eddie's jobs a little bit harder, because they're keeping them on their toes. They need somebody to light a fire under their ass to get their fucking act straight.
Zuffa Boxing is the response to the proliferation of box office fights, paywalls, subscription fees, and pay-per-views. Zuffa Boxing brings you boxing at no additional charge, and maybe over time that might change, but for now, enjoy it. Just enjoy it while it lasts, because nothing does.
Get while the getting is good.
Know the range and level that he wants to fight at. And by the way, I don't blame him for fighting at that level, because he wants to work with Tony Sims, but I can't headline with that. So that was what that comment was related to. I love Johnny, I love the family, he's made 100% the right decision. As I said, like, the money was just, as soon as I saw it, I was like, mate, I said, swim to the office, walk to the office and sign that contract ASAP. Go and get your money. Because he can choose the opponent, he can have a nothing fight and get enough money to pay the mortgage. Like, got to do it. We've had a great run with him. He's been brilliant to work with, and we wish him all the best.
That was a more sobering take on the entire situation than what you got from Oscar De La Hoya instructing fighters not to sign to Zuffa, not to sell out, where Eddie says Johnny Fisher did the right thing. For the amount of money they're offering that guy, you better run to the office and sign that contract. It's enough to pay off a mortgage.
I.e., get while the getting is good. And the getting is good now.
So go get it. Oscar's instructing fighters to not sign to Zuffa without giving them an alternative. What, they should sign to you? Are you going to give them what Zuffa can give them?
Because if you're not, you should shut the fuck up.
And poor Jai Opetaia, I feel so bad for him because Zuffa has him suing the IBF on their behalf. He's literally fighting the legal fight for Zuffa. It's truly disgusting.
Circling back to Jai Opetaia's situation as a lawsuit against the IBF, the main piece of ammunition the IBF has for their course of action is him fighting for a belt that they don't recognize.
Maybe Zuffa jumped the gun giving Jai that belt so fast, so soon after signing him.
Hindsight being 2020, perhaps the better course of action would be to keep that belt on ice until you sign a couple of other cruiserweights to then have them fight for that belt, because Jai already had his. He's the lineal champion, Ring Magazine, and at the time, he had the IBF. He didn't need another one, but the basic idea must have been that if we give him the belt, that legitimizes the belt because of who's holding it.
The recognized lineal champion.
That must have been what they were trying to do, and in doing so, they jumped the gun. Because wouldn't it have been better if it were Chris Billum Smith versus Ryan Rosicki Zuffa Boxing for that inaugural Zuffa title, then they could have been the ones defending it, and Jai could have focused on the other champions. Giving Jai Opetaia that belt gave the IBF an excuse to strip him, and we all know that the IBF doesn't hesitate to strip fighters, even well-known ones like Canelo, who they've stripped twice, Tyson Fury, Gennady Golovkin. Giving him that belt gave the IBF an excuse to strip him, though not a very good excuse because of how long it took them to do it.
That's incriminating.
You put the fighter, who had already observed all your bylaws and paid you your sanctioning fees, including per diem, just 2 days to make a very big decision.
It's not enough time.
Where by then, he had already gone through an entire training camp. The promotion had already paid to promote the show, and you're giving them just 2 days to deal with this? It's almost like you wanted to put them in that position so you would have an excuse to strip him.
I think a lot of people are distracted by the presence of the Zuffa belt. They really think that that's what this is about.
But if the IBF were in the business of stripping fighters for having belts they don't recognize, they would have stripped Anthony Joshua years ago for having the IBO. They didn't recognize it then.
They would have stripped Gennady Golovkin too, because he held it too.
At that time, none of the major 4 sanctioning bodies recognized the IBO as a legitimate world title, and I never saw anybody stripped for holding that belt alongside the IBF, so that excuse will not suffice. What this is really about is discouraging fighters from signing to Zuffa.
Not just about some belt.
It was about sending a message and making an example out of Jai Opetaia that if you want to stay a world champion, you better not go over there. You better not sign to Zuffa.
Why would the IBF want to do that?
Because they're colluding with Zuffa's competition, the other promoters, all of which feel threatened by Zuffa's launch. That Zuffa wants to be a league unto itself. The sanctioning bodies feel that Zuffa wants to cut them out of the picture. The promoters are afraid that Zuffa's going to drive the cost of everything up, offering fighters money they can't match.
It's collusion.
It is so obviously collusion, because why should the IBF care what promotion a fighter signs to? Even if they do have some trinket title over there, some trophy, some something.
Who cares? As long as he's paying you.
Which they did. The ideological issue here is, it shouldn't be up to a sanctioning body to dictate to a fighter what promotion he can sign to. But that is what the IBF is trying to do. Castigate any fighter that might decide to sign to Zuffa under penalty of losing their belt. They're trying to discourage guys from going over there. But that ain't none of their business. That's not their concern.
And that's what makes it collusion. You are creating an unfair marketplace by collaborating with Zuffa's competition.
A part of Jai Opetaia's lawsuit seems to be text correspondence between the powers that be conspiring against him and conspiring against Zuffa. If that's real, that's a damning piece of evidence.
I think they're gonna give him his belt back. It's more trouble than it's worth to have to go to court just to take this guy's belt away from him.
The fastest and cheapest alternative to make this all go away is to reinstate him.